And this is what's funny. I love my husband. I love being married. I love my family. And people that know me know that. And I'm not where I thought I'd be. Raising teenagers isn't what I thought it would be. I didn't bet on chronic illness, really cramping my style. And life is still such a beautiful gift.
Welcome to A Theology of Hustle. Make sure you're subscribed on YouTube or wherever you get your podcast, and follow me at Theology of Hustle on Instagram. Now, let's get to work. Y'all, Roxanne Engstrom is on the podcast. Welcome, Roxanne. It's so good to see you.
What is up, Currey? I haven't seen you in a while till we were last time we were on stage shenanigans.
We were at the Replanted conference. We were selfieing, I think, on stage last time.
100%.
We hung out.
I love a good selfie moment. Listen.
Same here. I love it.
Even my double chins and all, they come along for the ride. It's great.
You know what? We bring our whole selves to selfies.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, let's kick it off. Let's just have you do maybe a quick bio. I know you're into a lot of different things, so kind of give us the quick rundown of who you are, that sort of thing.
Yeah. So I am Roxanne Engstrom. I do a lot of stuff. I have 4 children. I have been married to my long-suffering and fun husband for over 24 years. We'll be celebrating 25. We're gonna do it up right, y'all.
I love it.
Because to be married that long is one thing, but to be married that long and still really like each other is a whole thing worth celebrating. So
100%.
Almost 25 years. I am an entrepreneur. I really love what I do. And God's taken me on a journey of realizing it's not what defines me. And part of that process for me has been a life-changing diagnosis with multiple sclerosis 6 years ago. That absolutely rocked my world. And if I could write a very strongly worded Google review, it would have some curse words and be 0 out of 10. I don't recommend. And it's totally one of the ways, like Jesus does, that he has used to refine me, to make me more reliant on him. So I am grateful for the journey. That doesn't mean I have to like the suffering, but yeah. And then we were in and around Chicago and Chicagoland. We've lived overseas on a small island that most people can't find on a map in East Africa for 4 years. That experience radically changed our lives. We've adopted. We recently relocated to the Raleigh, North Carolina area, and I'm just out here. I'm a brand and visual storyteller. I'm certified in ethical storytelling. Really love, and again, that's kind of like a culmination. One of the things for me in my life is that God doesn't waste anything. You might not know what it is that's going to reflect back or hit something in your past, even pain and suffering, like he just doesn't waste stuff. And I love and hate that about Jesus. Me and him have had some words, but he can take it. And so it's really like a lot of that has brought me to where I am right now. And I am in my season. This is what I just told my husband the other day. Watch out, Curry. You invited me on this podcast. I'm in my season.
I love it.
Of saying things with my full chest.
Okay.
So that we came out of a season of like some church hurt. We relocated, just different things that God has brought us through and like helped me figure out more. I'm really about seasons of life because we launched a kid at college last year and that changed my life too. I'm probably going to cry on this podcast, y'all. So just get over it. Just prepare now. I'm a big crier. But that's okay. That's good. I am very in touch with what I feel. I'm in therapy all the time. Listen, your girl's got a lot going on, but I love where I'm at in my life. And thank goodness God is patient and his game is long. So that's where I'm at.
I love it. Tears are welcome. We welcome all the emotions here on Theology of Hustle. So
yeah, I'm like probably the biggest crier. That's also like the person dancing on the table, joyful vibes. So like, none of it really makes sense. It all makes sense in my brain though. So,
hey, that's all that matters. Good. Well, so I don't even know there are so many threads we could pull here. Let's do a quick kind of walk through the journey. I think I always like pulling on some of those threads as we walk through. So, getting out of kind of high school, where does your story sort of pick up vocationally as you sort of like figure out what you're going to, putting your hands to for work throughout life?
Yeah, that's good. I kind of made a decision to really walk with Jesus in high school. So that was really pivotal. Oh my gosh. Pivotal. I can't even say that word.
Pivotal.
Yes,
Pivotal. Yes.
pivotal. Thank
Yeah.
you.
Yep.
But then, your girl went to college and was having a little too much fun for a little bit, whatever. But I really knew that God had like that there was purpose in vocation. I
Mhm.
really knew that like I felt like I wanted to make an impact on the world. Now, I would say at that time, because we're gonna talk real here, right?
Yep.
I completely bought into the whole some of the narrative of like I can go and save people and I can, really, really actually detrimental not only to the communities you're serving, but to myself, white
Mhm.
saviorism. And I wasn't aware that I was swimming in that sauce, but I was. A lot of evangelicals were at that time, right? And and again, God refined that out of me by moving me to Africa and realizing the community of people there was a massive blessing in my life,
Mm.
and really meant to teach me. But I started out, I studied history and I did like a concentration in race relations, African American studies, and I ended up teaching eighth grade on the south side of Chicago. That's kind of how I
Ah.
started my big girl life. And I was like a few years older than some of these kids. It was pretty hilarious. Um, and it was like a really hard start because my husband at that time also like he lost his job. It was right around September 11th, so a lot of things were changing. We were in the city of Chicago, newly married, got married when we were fetuses, right? We were young. We're like, how do people do life? I always and I tell my kids this now, my teenagers, because I have 3 teenagers right now, almost about to have 4. I'm like, listen, adulting is way overrated, y'all.
Yes. Yes.
Listen, you gotta solve problems, spend a lot of money, everything breaks, things fall apart. Then you get midlife and your body starts breaking down. It's wild, it's really wild on these streets. So stay a teen. But
That's right.
anyway, that's how I started was in education, which really has pivoted. It does make sense to where I'm at now as a brand and visual storyteller, which is weird, but that background gave me a huge appreciation for people that are doing what I consider like maybe frontline work in development spaces. And that's what I ended up doing in East Africa.
Okay. Let's double click on that white saviorism because we're both in the foster and adoptive community. And as we
Oh,
both well know, many people,
alive and well, alive
yes,
and well, Curry.
yes, yes, very, 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 it's pervasive. Let's just say, right? What was it? I know you talked about being in East Africa and realizing that the people there were pouring into you, but what is it that kind of broke those, I don't know, that lens through which you kind of was seeing the world?
Well, I think first of all, I've thought about this a lot because I also, right, was one of, I was the only um, white student in a lot of my African American studies classes in college. And I just remember having this moment of it's really like crisis of privilege,
Mm,
where I knew most of what I've been told in my life is a lie. And other people do not experience life the way that I've experienced it. And I think this is really critical because I still run into this now. Like right now as I work with like organizations like World Relief or advocate in spaces like for immigrant and refugee rights and the current political climate, I often say to myself like when you are presented with information that is contrary to your worldview, you have a choice. You can decide that you're going to be curious about that and ask questions and learn and integrate it into your life, or you
mm,
can decide that you're going to argue against it and be right. Um, and right, I'm putting that in quotes based on your experience.
right.
And I think for me at that pivotal time, I mean, thank God, really, that He gave me the grace to be like, girl, ask questions, be curious.
Mm,
And I really feel like still to this day, I hope that when I listen to this podcast in 5 years, I'm like, oh, silly, naive Roxanne. I really think
mm,
I would rather be seen trying to learn and staying curious than thinking I have it all figured out because I do consider myself an expert in some things with my work. And I recognize that that's always changing. And I always, so there's 2 things that I really want to embody in my life is I want to be bold enough to try and I want to be humble enough to correct and edit. And that was really what I think that season was about for me was like, I started teaching and I quickly realized number 1, the problems that you think are easy to solve are not easily solvable.
yes.
And
Yeah.
there are so many players and so many pieces and so much systemic stuff and history and all of these things that if you are looking at a problem from the outside, judging and thinking, oh, why isn't this fixable easily?
Yeah.
You're not close enough to proximity wise, and you haven't listened. And I'm not talking about proximity just like move into the neighborhood. I'm talking about listen. Don't bring your agenda. I'm talking about listening. And that piece changed me because I actually realized I can't do crap here. Like, I really can't. And then I started just paying attention, and I had, thankfully, especially in my teaching job, specifically other Black female teachers that loved me enough to tell me when I was wrong, loved me enough to pour into me. That's been a part of my adoption journey too, right?
Mm.
Black women that loved me enough to tell me when my daughter's hair looked like she got a white bomb. Listen,
Yes. Yes.
I'm not trying to have a child that looked like she got a white bomb on these streets.
Yes.
And listen, I can't remove myself from my experience. It's not about I think that there's a lot of people that think, but I worked hard to be where I'm at. It's not about that.
Yeah.
It's just about, it's okay that you have the lens that you have. That's your experience. It's just that other people's lenses are just as valuable. And a
Mm.
note about diversity, because I help organizations with this right now, do storytelling. Diversity and inclusion and equity, which is very, it gets all these reps right now.
Yeah.
That is not about making sure that certain people are included only. It is also, in my experience, making sure that we have a fuller picture of who God is. If
Mm.
there are people and experiences missing from the table, first of all, if y'all like that, y'all not going to like heaven. So don't go,
Facts.
because it's going to be every tribe,
Yeah.
every tongue, people going to look like they look. So we're not all going to become your small percentage of the church, right? It is going to be this global, beautiful thing. And living in Africa gave me that perspective of like, wow, a lot of what I do just because I've done it. But it's not necessarily better or right. And there are a lot of things. So diversity, I have both white kids and Black kids, right? And I say this all the time. We do not embrace equity and diversity in this house. And we're constantly still learning what that means, by the way. We don't do that for my Black child. We do that equally for my white children and my Black child, because my white children need that perspective.
Yep.
Not that they have to tolerate it, not that they should welcome it, that they need it to understand more of who God is, because God is this fuller, his creativity in creation is brilliant. Who are we to decide who sits at that table?
Good golly, Roxanne. Just I just need to open it up and let you cook over and over again here. No, that's great. I love that. I think so many white people need to hear that it's not like the whole point of diversity isn't that like you need to like just get on board. It's that this is better for you. Yeah, and so many white people, because of the privilege that we have in this country, the history of the country, all of these things, we're just not put in places where we
Right.
are in positions like that.
Right. And I think what God did for me and my experiences is, I always say, and I say this, I'm grateful my kids have had this experience too. I think everyone should have the experience of being a minority for an extended period of time, because it changes you. And when I was not a disadvantaged minority, to be clear,
Yeah.
but I taught on the South Side, where I was one of the only white teachers. I lived in Africa. I was one of the only white people in that community. And that changed me in ways that it's hard for me still to this day to articulate. And the kindness and the welcome that I was shown in those spaces, and the correction,
Yeah.
will forever, because this is the thing I want in my life. I say things with my full chest now. I fully embrace beauty and mess. I fully want to be in spaces that are both encouraging and challenging to me. If you're in a space like a church or an organization and all they do is tell you you're amazing, that's the wrong place, lovingly. If all they do is tell you you suck and rip everything down about your personality and about how God created you, that's also probably the wrong place. We need places that are like, hey, Rox, I see you and your gift of this and this. Because listen, I could tell you right now, right? This is a podcast. This is going to be like curated, my best version of myself. I can also tell you 5 things right now that I absolutely suck at. If you get my husband over here, he'll tell you 20 more. But it's also about, I want to be challenged and encouraged. And that's where I think human beings can flourish and grow. And in those spaces, I really did have what I would call like mentorship and discipleship from people that loved me enough to tell me the truth and challenge. And I think the key is this posture of curiosity. Like, When something rubs you the wrong way, or you don't like it, or it makes you uncomfortable, instead of your first response being, I must defend,
Yeah.
I wonder what would happen and what would transform in us if we said, I better get curious about that. I better ask questions. Like, first of all, because if there is triggered things triggered in you, one, we're all healing is not a past tense thing. We're all on a healing journey. And I am grateful, like, God didn't show me all my junk right when I came to Him. Like, your girl has been in therapy for over 20 years. Like, I got a lot going on. And
Mm.
when I'm triggered, I, especially in the adoption journey or especially in my entrepreneurship, like my worth being in my work journey, I go back and I look internally. And I also want to be open to like what new things, again, 5 years from now, am I going to look back and be like, I just didn't know that I needed to learn that.
Mhm.
So, and part of our move actually to the Raleigh area was that we chose a community that has an amazing Black female mayor. This community is half Black and half white. We wanted a place where our kids, at first I was like kind of judging the South. And then I came here and I was like, I love this. I love that my kids, both of them, are sometimes the minority in spaces, both my white and my Black kids. And
Yeah.
I think that they're learning valuable things in those. And it's obviously more important for our Black daughter than our white kids because of the way that society is. So I just want to make sure that that is, because I recognize that I hope, and God is my witness, right? Teaching her to be an amazing woman. But I also need to acknowledge that I need Black women to help her learn how to be a Black woman. And that's not a weakness on my part. That's an acknowledgement that we are meant for
100%.
community and we need each
Yeah.
other.
100%. Yeah, and I mean, to be honest, your and my white kids need Black people in their lives just in general,
100%,
right?
100%. Yes.
Yes,
My
yeah,
son is on a football team and those coaches are amazing. And yeah, he's one of the only white kids out there and we love it.
it's
Like
awesome.
that leadership is so important. Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. You're absolutely right.
100% agree. That's good stuff. Let's walk down the adoption journey, and I want to be cautious. We've both been in this space a long time, right? Doing adoption work, and I don't know. I'll speak for myself as we've gotten older. And my son understands more of his story. The parts I'm comfortable sharing are just smaller and smaller. You know what I mean? Without him. So with that sort of background understanding, what have been some of your key learnings over this adoption journey? What do you look back on and sort of like
Mm.
realize, God, I wish I would have known that in the past?
Yeah, that's a tricky question because I feel like in a lot of things in my life, if God had showed me all the things, I would have been like, nah, like only because not because even motherhood, period, Curry. I'm not talking about adoption. Let me be clear.
Yep.
Like
Yep.
I'm parenting teenagers. If y'all did not hear that, so listen. This journey is hard.
Yeah.
It is an un. It's like a detachment from my worth being in children as something I produce because I don't. They are their
Mhm.
own people created by God. He loves them more than me. And I'm constantly reminding myself I'm not enough for them and that that's good. Um, but that piece is hard. So I just want to say and I, like you, there's very little, like I'm online a lot. I share a ton about my MS journey.
Right.
You won't find stuff about our adoption journey online because it's not my story to tell.
Right.
And so we are really walking this, building some relationship with some first family. We are doing these things. It's not for public consumption.
Yeah.
And we do have support in our lives for it. But I think one of the things I really want, there's an amazing organization in the Chicagoland area, Styles for Kids, run by Tamika and
Yes.
some amazing women there of women of color. I've been on their podcast, and just get involved with places like Replanted, where there's resources for you to not center yourself,
Mhm.
but to get the help and support you need. But it's really not about you. And I think adoption, I remember being in the room when a transracial adoptee said to me, and it changed my life when she said this. She said, adoption is the only mass trauma in the world that we expect the recipient to be grateful. And when she said that to
Gosh.
me, I put my head down and I just said, I needed to hear it, because I was feeling like this is hard and I want people to understand and this is the truth is like I hope and pray that I'm doing right by all of the kids in my house, and that's an audience of Jesus
Mm.
and her to decide. And it's also like for her to decide what is shared when. And we joke so much. We like she's at the season now where like the racial differences and those kind of things, like we have a lot of jokes about things. But my white kids, it's so funny. Every time we go on a family vacation, because I studied Black history too, right? I'm always like, they don't teach you this stuff in history. We're going to all the civil rights museums, all the Black history sites.
Same,
And
same.
it's
Yeah.
so funny. And so my
Yep.
my white kids will be like, "Aren't we done learning Black history?" I said, "No. Do y'all know what came out about the Clotilda? Do y'all know what's coming out about all these different historical things that are still happening, like the Katrina documentary I just watched? I
Yeah.
mean, it's wild, right?" So I said, "No, we are listening and we will always listen to these voices." So I would just say one of my biggest takeaways is to listen to the voices that make you uncomfortable.
Mm.
And it doesn't mean you need to change everything or integrate everything. Because I will also be clear that I also had to come to a place where my Black female therapist said to me, "You're her mother. Trust that you are doing right by her. You don't
Mm.
need you don't need to crowdsource this opinion of what you need to do." And that gave me a freedom too, right? But again, it's like leaning into the discomfort is where the most growth comes for me. Um, and then, like, remembering that, like, every time we're reminding our kids, like, "Hey, we love you. We're here for you. We're your ride or die." This makes me cry thinking about it. That's what God does for me,
Mm.
because when I mess up, I feel like, I'm not good enough. And sometimes I think in the adoption journey, we can get frustrated, like, "How do you not know I'm for you yet? How do you not know I love you?" And you can't out love a lot of trauma. It's not about you. It is
Yeah.
about is like God is patient. He is doing that to me as much as I am, he's doing it way more to me and to everyone he loves, just like I am trying in small ways to be there. So it's just about giving up control. Children are not products. They are not going to be these perfect products, and if they were, I wouldn't want that journey. I
Right.
want kids that are themselves, that are fully realized, right? That are on this healing journey, and I have to make space for that. If I'm controlling everything, I can't make space for that.
Yeah, that's a good word. So many people get into adoption and foster care with that mindset. Like all you have to do is just love them and everything will be fine.
Sorry, triggered. I'm sorry, triggered.
Yeah. And I wish that were the case.
Right,
I wish we did it. I wish the journey wasn't so hard.
right.
And that trauma wasn't a thing. Golly, that quote about the mass trauma,
Yeah,
that one will be sticking with me. I don't know kind of how to process that because this is the thing about it. Like any of this involves separation, which is at its
exactly.
foundation
No
is
matter
trauma,
what
right?
the origin story of
Right.
the adoption, right? It is a
Yep.
result of some sort of brokenness.
Right.
Right? And
Right.
even if it is the best choice and it is a brave choice and all those things, that really helps reframe everything for me. And I
Yeah.
think some of what we've been sold in the adoption community is like this cute little transracial Christmas card and like hashtag adoption is love. And I'm like, y'all are not out here on these streets being real.
Yeah.
But what's hard is like it's not for public consumption.
Right.
So it's none of anybody else's business. And I want to also say, like, for me, I want to honor our daughter's first family. I have deep respect and love for them.
Mm.
And I will not put out anything that is deemed like that they can't read. They
Right.
can read and look at everything single thing that I put out because I will never speak anything against who she looks like and who had the bravery to bring her into this world. I love
Mm.
them and they
Yeah.
know that. So I think that those pieces of it are things that people don't talk about, you know?
Yeah.
It's like you want this you're creating a product. Children are products.
Yeah. Yeah, that's good. I appreciate you jumping into that with me. It's been
Yeah.
a while. So it's good stuff.
And that's how
Yeah,
we know each other, so that's cool.
I know it's fun. I know. And we've never gotten to actually sit down and talk like this,
Yeah.
just, so it's really fun to, we've done video shoots together
I
for the
know,
conference,
crazy. Right.
yeah. So but it hits different when you just have like an hour to kind of sit and just shoot the breeze and, pick people's brains. Um, let's get into what you're doing now
Yeah.
and branding and photography and the whole things. Okay, let's go back. Maybe so the MS diagnosis did that precipitate where you're at right now? How does that kind of figure into kind of who you are right now, what you're doing right now?
Yeah. I mean, it rocked my world. Like, I used to be the person that would say things like, "You can sleep when you're dead." You know? Like,
Yep.
I was going hard. I was doing all the things. I was getting my worth and my value from what I did, right?
Yeah.
Um and in some ways, right, Africa helped me get out of that pattern because I went there. One of the first things I learned how to say in Swahili when I lived there was, in my home country, I was good at things. Because my pride, Curry. I was like, "Listen, I know y'all think I'm a complete moron because I don't know how to like grate a coconut correctly, but I promise you, I was the bomb at home." You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
I got a job, I won awards, I got, I was like, but it was so funny because it's called role deprivation,
Mm,
right? So a lot of women experience it when they go from like their job to being a mother. Like,
sure.
and men can obviously everyone can experience it, but when you have realized that you've made a lot of your personality what you do, when some of that is taken away or shifts, you got to redefine who you are. You got to ask some tough questions. And so for me, staring down what I call the barrel of a diagnosis that's lifelong, um, unless Jesus does something different, I was like, "Listen, I gotta embrace all this shiz I've been saying for years, like, life is a beautiful mess. It's like what you decide to make it mean, like, da, 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 da." But I wanna be clear, I could barely say it out loud for 6 months, and
Mm,
I did have a period of deep grief, which I think is totally normal. Um,
100%.
and in my own health, I was like, "Let's spend our life savings right now and go around the world because I'm gonna be in a wheelchair in a week," kinda thing. Like,
Yeah.
I had all of that. That's why your girl's in therapy. So, I worked through a lot of that. I've been able to, and now I share very freely about it because it's my journey. And part of why I share a lot about my MS journey is because, I wanna be there online in some small way for the person that I was 7 years ago, 6 years ago, desperately searching the internet at 2 AM to find somebody that was thriving with this disease.
Mm,
Because I'm very real about it and I share very real things. I've had panic, I struggle, I've had to go on 4 different medications. I was hospitalized, unable to walk, I went blind. Like, I'm not playing with what I share but I don't share it when it's fresh. I wait till it's more of a scar, but I share
yeah.
the real, not just, but I also share I ran the freaking marathon for MS.
Mm,
I was told could possibly be in a wheelchair in 17 months, and I ran a marathon 2 years ago. So, I am I do not make this my personality, but I have learned to integrate it, and what it has done, get back to your original question, listen, my neurodivergency here is showing.
you're good. This is
No,
perfect. I love it. I love it.
it does make sense because I used to say
Yeah.
things like, "Oh, you sleep when you're dead," whatever, whatever, and what I've
Yeah.
learned is, like, that comes calling at a certain point in
Yeah.
everybody's life, and for me, it took a diagnosis. For other people, it takes a different kind of life crisis.
Right.
The older you get, the less judgment you have because you realize that everybody is carrying something that's invisible.
Mm,
I promise you, there are people that you encounter today that are carrying something that you would have people look at me and have no clue what I'm battling. Um, and I don't define myself, but I integrate it. And then I make really strategic decisions. Like, part of why I went into what I'm going into now is because I'm no longer willing to run myself into the ground making nothing
right.
for someone else's definition of success. My definition of success is very much aligned in my season of life and with my limitations.
Mm,
And I don't see my limitations as like I did for a while. Let me be real. Let me keep it at 100. I'm gonna be honest. But I now see them as, like, a gift to live into more of my purpose and to be more strategic. Okay, I'll give you an example. We moved to, this area, and somebody asked me to join to do all this stuff for the PTA of my kid's school, and I was like, I'm gonna say this with my full chest. I was like, "I will join the PTA today," paid the money. I said, "I will come in and teach the kids, like, a ethical photography class. I will do this, I will do that, but I will never show up at y'all's meetings, and I will not cut out paper hearts because my soul dies, and I don't wanna do that. I don't wanna do none of it, so don't ask me." And the lady looked at me for a minute like, "This lady is crazy," and then said, "I'm actually really grateful you just told the truth." I'm like, "I'm not gonna tell you I'm too busy because I could, but
yeah.
I'm not too busy to do things that matter to me. I'm too busy to do stuff that I don't value." And I
Mm,
value relationships with kids. I value like building into my community. I do volunteer and serve, but they're ways that are aligned to me. I am done doing crap that don't matter to me. because I don't have enough energy, frankly, and I don't need to use MS as a crutch. I don't even usually tell people that. I just have integrated it into my life of like, I have to be able to keep first things first.
Yeah.
And my family, my relationship with God, my health, my physical health. I get up 4:40, 3 days a week to go work out with this amazing workout crew here. Like, catch me doing whatever I can to still be dancing at my kids' weddings, you know?
Mm.
So I've just
Yeah.
changed a lot about my life. So MS, it sucks. 0 out of 10 review, strongly, a lot of 4-letter words, but it's also given me this understanding and appreciation that, one, you got to have increased empathy and compassion because everybody is carrying something you have no clue about. And two, you got to have boundaries because no one's going to do it for you. And especially as a woman and as a mom, you can run yourself into the ground and think you're a martyr, but you don't get awards for that. Nobody's going to write entrepreneur or badass on my tombstone. Like,
Yeah.
that's not it. I got to learn how to take care of myself. And are somebody that we have in common, Karen Purvis, used to always say too, I don't do this just for my kids. I do this for
Yeah.
me because you can't teach a child to go to a place that you have not been to yourself, right?
That's
So
yes.
I'm healing
Very
myself
much.
by
Yeah.
prioritizing myself, not for the
Yeah.
sake of my children,
Right.
although it benefits them. I'm
Yeah.
doing it because sometimes it harms them actually, right? In the short term. Sometimes I say to
Yeah.
them, "No, we're not doing that extra activity. I'm not doing that because I can't sustain it and it's not good for my health."
Yeah. No, for sure. That's a whole word right there. And bringing in Dr. Purvis, always extra points for that. So a great word.
I know.
Uh,
I literally shed a tear the day that I found out she passed. I was like,
yeah.
she really impacted a lot of my early thinking. If you're an adoptive parent, you got to read her. Yeah.
Yeah.
Just
Very
parent,
much
actually.
agree.
Just a
Yeah.
parent. Being
Yeah.
like a foster and adoptive parent has made me a better parent,
100%.
not an adoptive parent, a better
Yep.
parent, to be
Very
clear.
much so. Very much so. I would very much agree with that. How so okay, just going back to kind of the diagnosis and all that
Mm.
stuff. How do you talk cuz women especially are just I mean the rates of autoimmune disease in
Oh,
women is just
wild. It's
through
wild.
the roof, right?
Yeah.
How do you talk to women about that kind of the transition, like finding out something like that and what like
Mm.
what would be your kind of I don't know if there's even advice you could give, but how would you talk to somebody who's kind of newly diagnosed or early in this autoimmune journey?
Mm. Oh, I mean, first, I would just say I'm so sorry.
Mm. Yeah.
Like, and it's not your fault.
Yeah.
And I know there's a lot of like, I am somebody who wants to be radically accountable and responsible for the things that are controllable. But I think everybody has to go through that season of realizing that there is a lot of things that are handed out in life that are not fair, that are not all about you, going back to trauma, all those things, right?
Yeah.
Um, and so I would just say, I think to her, I would just give her a hug and cry and I'd bring her coffee because one of my love languages is bringing people caffeine. But I'll bring you a latte, girl, and I give you a hug and I tell you, you're not always going to feel as hopeless as you do right now, but don't let anyone rush you through this.
Mhm.
So for me, Brene Brown once said, like, find people that will sit alone in the dark with you and not have pressure to turn on the light. I also am somebody that's very joyful. I'm very positive. I have absolutely really tried to work hard as a discipline about curating my mental space towards healing and joy. And there's no points to rush through the grieving process because you might need to really have some words with Jesus about it. And you might really need to have some words with your spouse and to have hard conversation about what the future could look like. And not but, and there are people out here thriving with really hard things that are invisible to
Yeah.
other people.
Yeah.
And you can find your own path to get there. And don't compare yourself to others. Don't like, especially with something like MS, it's a snowflake disease. So, it's different for everyone. And everyone
Mm.
has, for a long time, it was hard for me because I'd be like, well, she's doing this, but or then I would even feel bad because I'm able to run a marathon, but other people aren't. You have to stay in your lane and you have to focus on what is first for you and what are the things you are radically accountable for. Like for me, change my diet, change my life, a lot of my lifestyle, change my sleep hygiene, change my stress level that I could, when I was
Yeah.
first diagnosed, I remember the doctor said, and then it was COVID, right? And then it was COVID. And he was like, I feel like you probably need to manage your stress. I said, well, someone should have told me that before I had 4 kids. What the heck?
Yes.
Start talking about manage.
Are you serious? You're serious right now?
I said, my 4 kids don't leave this house. It's COVID. What are you talking about managing my stress? I said, you can take that and shove it right where that's where Jesus needs to get me, because the sanctification part, it's long for me. I'm like, I got words for you, but
I love it.
I was
I
like,
love
there's
it.
some things in your life that you cannot manage stress on. I hate when people say that,
Yeah.
but there are some things, and you know what they are, where you can. And so
Yeah.
for that, and get help, like
Yeah.
ask for help and mean it. Like say it with your full chest. Like nobody is out here thriving by themselves. People in and that's one of the things Africa taught me. One of the beautiful things Africa taught me, like communal cultures have so much to teach us. And even me, I'm a solo entrepreneur. Like my social media is about me. I do branding for individual brand, but I bring a team of women together to help you feel supported. This is about community. And it's not the story of this one person doing everything. That is a curated view of someone's life you're seeing. And that's why I want to do things like podcasts, or because I'm not going to tell all my business, but I'm going to tell a fuller picture of like, it's not, looking great every second. I mean, I told you before we jumped on this, I was like, I even put on a whole jacket for Currey because I was looking like a troll. So listen, life is real out here and it's okay. Yeah. And you don't have to have pressure to look like someone else or to thrive every second. You can be honest about the journey. And there is so much about integrating it into your story. And I really do believe with every ounce of my being that God does not waste things. While I have prayed and I have seen real deliverance healing, and I'm a crazy person, I believe in that. God has not done that for me with MS. He has asked me right now to carry it, and I'm trying to carry it well. But I'm going to carry it with community. I'm going to be real about it. And I'm gonna choose. I remember right after my diagnosis, I just spoke recently at a women's event, and I went back and I read the blog posts and the journal entries I did right after I was diagnosed. And I had forgotten this, but I laid in bed one night, couldn't sleep, and I felt like God said to me, I dare you to find joy in this. And it makes me cry because, I do. Like, listen, I am the first to dance. I am an old white lady. I will get on a table and drop it like it's hot. My husband, we joke. I'm like, I should start setting it down like it's warm because I'm old. You know what I mean? But I will dance. I will be crazy. But like a lot of times I will fall into the wall. And I'm not intoxicated at all. But like one of the funny things about me is I kind of walk like I'm drunk sometimes. And I'm not drunk because of MS. So I choose to laugh about that. You can choose to be embarrassed or to be like, and some days I am, let me be clear. Some days I really hate a lot of the things that comes with this. But I mostly choose to just be like, that stuff is funny. Like if I saw somebody dropping like it's hot and all of a sudden fall over into the wall, I would laugh hysterically. And then one of my kids are always embarrassed because I'll be like, I'm not drunk. And my daughter's always like, the only person that screams I'm not drunk is a drunk person.
Drunk person, right. Thou doth protest too much.
Oh my gosh, I'm dead. Yeah. So, but like to me, that's one practical way that I've decided to choose joy and integrate it because listen, life's too dang hard. You got to laugh and you got to have joy and you got to find joy on some of the hard things because this is the myth. Now I'm going to tell you, anybody who's younger than me, I'm 45. I'm a whole grown ass woman. The myth is that life is going to get simpler, easier, less chaotic.
Yes.
Let me let you know that is never going to happen.
Very much. Yes.
I feel like that is never going to happen. So I'm choosing joy right now. I'm figuring out what it looks like to thrive today. And that's
amen. They don't put that in the brochure.
No.
That it's just going to get harder.
Yeah.
Yeah. You look at grown people when you're young, like you're teenagers. The reason they want to grow up is because they look at adults and like, hey, they have it all figured out.
I want.
Yeah, exactly.
No, I'm like, all that happens is you have to pay for everything that breaks. And and nothing is easy. That's
yes.
And it's still a great and wonderful life. Like my husband and I, this is so funny. We're weird. We go on a date night, and one of the things we'll talk about is like, man, life is kind of disappointing. And this is what's funny. I love my husband. I love being married. I love my family. And people that know me know that. And I'm not where I thought I'd be. Raising teenagers isn't what I thought it would be. I didn't bet on chronic illness, really cramping my style. And life is still such a beautiful gift, but it's just not what I thought. And it's okay to admit that there's some disappointment in that. Right. And still, I'm a very joyful and happy person. It's just that I'm also keeping it real, but I'm not doing the keeping it real version where we've been doing it online where we're like, let's overtell all of our stories and overshare. No. It's not the overshare. Let me be real. But listen, I'm talking about, do you have real community? Are you in therapy? Are you working on yourself? Do you have time with Jesus where you tell the truth? Not, let me tell you and divulge all my secrets online. No, that's not what it is. I'm
Yeah.
talking about it's okay to feel and hold multiple emotions at once. So I am both extremely grateful for where I am and I'm disappointed.
Yeah.
You know, and that's just true. I am both. I love parenting teenagers because they're so like they're so cool and fun. Like I tell my husband, I'm like, oh my gosh, these kids are like actually fun to hang out with, right? I can pee by myself now. There's all these great things about teenagers. And it's really hard because I don't have the answers and I don't always know exactly what to do. And I'm not sure of every decision we're
Yeah.
making. It's both and. I love it and it's hard. It's okay. We need to be more okay with like the range of human emotions existing at the same time.
Yeah, we do. And that's a really hard thing. I don't like that.
Mhm.
I struggle with that.
Right.
So, yes, but you're exactly right. You're exactly right. JJ will be very proud of all that, as our mental health practitioner.
Yes,
So
that's right. Love it.
okay. I love that. Let's talk about branding and let's talk about photography and let's talk about all the things because you have an amazing. I love looking at your Instagram feed. It is so colorful and it's so fun.
Oh, thank
And
you.
how did all this go down? And then can you kind of talk us through what you even do and
Yeah.
and all of that?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So I started my photography business 10 years ago in the Chicagoland area after we got back from overseas. And it was really there is where this love of like visual story, because I was a teacher, like I said, I was a teacher, right? But this love of visual storytelling and the power of images really, really took hold in me. Um, and I also realized like, so it is a funny story. Like we lived on a small island. I got some birthday money. I'm like, there's nothing I want to buy here, right? So I'm like, I'm gonna take an online photography class. And then we had like no internet forever. So I could never log in, whatever, whatever. But I bought myself like a camera, like a really beginner digital camera. And I would just like start doing this class. Now I had done language classes. And so my neighbors, everybody's always up in your business. This is one of the best and the hardest things about living there. So everybody would come over and be like, you're doing what now? You were learning Swahili. Now you're doing this. And I was learning photography. So I just start like learning these things. And over time of living there, I think I realized one, it took me a really long time to ever photograph or share stories of my close friends there. This is gonna make me cry because one, consent is really important to me. And two, um, I was worried that my people back in the US would not fully understand how amazing they were
Mm,
and judge them in certain ways, right? And this was post 9/11 and I lived in a Muslim part of the world. Um, and that was always really hard. And so when I did start doing more of that and just realizing like all my friends, once they found out I had a camera and weddings there are so separate, right? Men and women are so separate. So I would be like the wedding photographer for the women, right? Like the unpaid, voluntold wedding photographer for the women's side. And then, I would like start sharing some images and people really liked it because they would be like, "Ooh, you think our culture is beautiful, you think this, whatever." And I will never forget actually. I went to I was back home for a medical leave and I went to my old church in Chicago and a woman came up to me and said, I really want to thank you for your blog because I don't think you realize the impact it has on me.
mm,
And she said, ever since 9/11, I have really struggled being afraid of Muslim people. She's like, when I see them, I look down, I'm afraid of them. And I look at your blog with your friends and the women that you work with. And I think to myself, they're amazing.
wow.
And in that moment, I realized this is not just for me. Like the power of visual imagery is that it can help humanize people and it can help them share their story in a dignifying way. And at the same time, I'm also in East Africa seeing a lot, going back to the thread, pulling on the thread of white saviorism, I lived there for 4 years, but I saw a lot of short term folks come in, report back stories that were not true.
Mm,
They well meaning, but this is again, and this might get me in trouble with some people. That's all right. Everybody can unfollow it. Follow at your own risk. Um, White people love to judge ourselves on our intention, not on our impact. And
mm,
the issue is if you are coming in as somebody who is foreign to a culture for a week, taking a bunch of photos without consent and then going back and reporting what happened, and you don't even have a language translator. So I literally once was sitting there listening and I spoke Swahili. Now it's obviously I was still learning it. I'm always still learning it. But I was like, that's not what was said. I was there. That's not what was said.
mm,
So I learned also ethically photography lends itself to exploitation. It's a form of media that lends itself to exploitation. I can take a
Interesting.
picture of you right now and say anything I want about you.
Yeah.
I can be like the poor Currey who his whole life has been, whatever I want to say,
Yeah.
I
You're
can
right.
I
You're
can
right.
say that. And
Yeah.
who decides what stories are told, right? So
Yeah.
this all started. Then I kind of found like organizations like Photographers Without Borders, and I started understanding and doing some study and certifications in ethical storytelling. And I thought to myself, because this is the choice you have when you see that something's done incorrectly, you can hate on it, or you
Yeah.
can decide you're going to start to be a very small part of fixing it. And so for me, I decided I can do this better. So I figured that out. And then what's weird is that I still do ethical storytelling for organizations. I am very blessed to partner with organizations in the Raleigh area that are doing good work in the world. And that's something that's always my heart. It's always going to have a less cost than my other work because I value it so much.
Yeah.
Um, so I love doing that. But how it translated into branding is I wanted to take that same lens of like being curious about someone and about what makes them and their brand special because like like my feed is definitely not for everybody. I am a certain type of person. I do say things with my full chest. I'm a lot. And that is not a liability for me. For the right people, that is something that people appreciate. It doesn't mean I'm not working on myself and there's not things I need to still constantly be, evolving in. It just means that like your brand, building a brand is only gross if you are.
Yeah. Oh, that's
If
good.
you're a gross person and you're trying to take advantage of people and you're trying to get their money and run, please don't build a brand. But I'm trying to serve people, over deliver, elevate their brand, shout them out, hype them up, help them build confidence, help them reach their business goals. I sure as heck should be shouting my brand from the rooftops because people need that. So if you are doing something that helps other people in your business, show up in your brand boldly and
Mm.
humbly, right? So edit in different seasons. When you take away offers, you add things, whatever, but own who you are. And I always say this, like sometimes some parts of me, I love networking because I'm an extrovert. I love being with people, but there's certain networking spaces I run from, just like certain adoption groups I run from. Here's why.
Yeah.
I refuse to be in spaces where I feel pressure to puff myself up or shrink myself down.
That's good.
I won't do either one of those things. Now, sometimes I get caught in it. I'm not going to lie, right? I'm going to keep it real. And then I have to realize and then change and exit respectfully. I'm not trying to burn stuff down. But what I'm saying is if you are feeling like, "Oh, I got to be someone I'm not," you're not in touch with your true brand. Because building a brand is just about alignment, authenticity, and elevated. Like we gonna make you look snatched.
Yeah.
It's not gonna be you in your like if you work every day at home in your sweatpants, no, girl. We're gonna do maybe one look is in your sweatpants, but the other four are gonna be a little elevated. Why? Because you need to be seen as a professional.
Yeah.
But it is about you. I'm not gonna make you wear what someone else would wear. Right? Like completely. It's gonna still be like, and I was just on a planning call today with this amazing brand I'm doing next Friday. And she's really connected to her local community and like she wants to her ideal customers are people of color, small business owners. And I'm like, we're leaning into that because that is her brand and that's who she's going to serve really well. And so of course I want her to tell her story really well so she can grow her business so that she can serve her people. So for me, I know that sounds weird that I went from ethical storytelling to branding because branding is like ethical storytelling is more for NGOs and branding is
Yeah.
obviously usually for people that are building a business. But also, right? My mentor has said this before, and I think it's true. We need more ethical people with money.
That is very true.
I want to earn some money
Yes.
because now sometimes I can't be trusted because Jesus knows I would go buy a purse or something, but I want to be trusted. So I want to give
Yes.
back to my community. I want to give back to organizations that matter and things like that. So like, let's help build your brand to make a life because building a brand for me is about designing a brand, but also a life that you love. And that's where
Yeah.
that alignment comes into me and doing brand sessions. I can do them during the day when my teenagers are at school. I'm no longer doing sunset night family sessions because I don't want to miss my kids' game. Like
Yeah.
today, right after this, I'm running to go to my kids' volleyball game.
I love it.
So I'm just interested in what is aligned, what is the season of life, say yes and mean it and lean into what makes your brand special. Because again, if you are serving people and showing up and doing your best, you should build a brand if that is how you were to build a business, right? And some businesses are not that structure. They don't have a personal brand attached to them, but I help people that they have a personal brand attached to them. And I love it. It's like what's so cool is that every gallery looks different. And I'm proud of that because I offer free discovery calls and people can see galleries, full galleries. And why I'm so proud of that is because this is not about building my portfolio. It's about building your brand. So I take the time to get to know you. Like I always say, I am not that photographer, quick and dirty. I roll up to your location and pull my camera and shove it in your face. There's going to be consent. We're going to know what's happening. We're going to have a plan. We're going to, and I love it because I get to build relationships. And the truth is I'm a very highly relational person. So I'm alone in my little office all day editing, but I'm very relational. And so I love that part of my work.
I'm sure that surprises everybody listening to the podcast that you're relational. Didn't see that coming.
Currey be talking trash. Y'all, listen, let's cancel Currey. No, just kidding.
I love it. The images are visually stunning. The colors you play with, I love, and just the fun. Like it seems fun. Like what you're doing is fun.
Oh my God. We have too much fun on my shoots. Like I dare you come. It is like, we have so much fun. My face sometimes hurts from smiling. And I think to myself too, what a gift to love what you do that much.
Yeah.
And now keeping it real, there's a lot of my job I hate. Taxes, don't even get me started. A lot of my job I don't like, but like working with my clients and seeing the confidence that they step into, it's the best.
Yeah, I love that. I'm interested. I'd never thought about pictures and the exploitation. Like I'd never thought about the story that a picture tells in that way, I guess. I do, I've played with websites and stuff and done some of that stuff. And I think a lot of times when people think of branding, they may think of a logo, right? Or maybe even a color scheme or something. In your experience, what are some of the things that people misunderstand most about branding and even like personal branding in particular?
Woo, Curry coming in hot with the good questions. I love this. I love talking about this because I think that my definition of this is always evolving because I'm very curious about it, right? So I'm reading. I want to become, somebody that shares with authority in my area of expertise. So I'm always learning from others. But I think, a lot of it boils down to your brand is what someone says about you when you're not in the room. Right? So if somebody were to say to Curry after this podcast, tell me about Roxanne. What's Roxanne about? I would want you to say, oh man, she's seen some things, but she is vibrant. She loves helping people. She's certified in ethical storytelling. And she really is really one-on-one with her clients, takes them through this amazing process. And she's unapologetically prioritizing her family while building her business. Unapologetically. That's my brand. And I want people to know me so that they know if I'm for them and they can build that trust. I think, yes, it's good to have logos. It's good to have colors. It's good to have fonts, all that stuff. Like I do that. I put it on every brand guide that I do. Yeah. But I think what's unfortunate is when we stop there because nobody connects with a font. Nobody, if you think about the brands that you love, they tell you a story. They make you feel a type of way, right? So for me, my brand is how I make my clients feel. And when my client sent me, actually, this was feedback. I'll just read one sentence of it. This was what happened. I had a photo shoot on Friday, and this is what I want my brand to be. She said, oh my gosh, where do I even begin? Working with you today has been genuinely one of the best decisions of my business career. I feel so grateful, honored, and blessed. This was far the most outstanding and unique photo shoot I've ever had. I want to thank you for giving me a glimpse of how the world sees me. As women, we rarely get the chance, and today you showed me something truly special. I feel seen and I feel heard, and I'm thankful. And that to me, she hasn't even seen her pictures yet, right? But that's what it's about for me. That's what I want to make people feel and invite them to feel. Because you can't make anyone do anything. You can't make a safe space. You can't, none of that. You invite, you can try to curate, but I'm like, that's success for me. Not, I got 1 million hits on my LinkedIn profile picture. That's great. That's a byproduct. But for me, I'm building an experience. And that's what my brand is about helping people feel seen. And that's why my whole story, God doesn't waste anything. Me sitting with my neighbors in Africa, learning how to use my first camera is absolutely tied to what I did on Friday. Yeah. Because I am learning just to sit with people, be curious about them, ask them questions about themselves. And then I would show my neighbors back in Africa the back of the camera and they would like it or not like it. And how do they want to be perceived? Right. And I think especially back then, I decided the world has enough. And this is why I don't over edit people either. As a mom of 3 girls, I will not, I have literally said no to clients who said to me, I need you to Photoshop 10 pounds off me. And I said, respectfully, I'm not the photographer for you because I am a mom of 3 girls and I am learning to love the body that God gave me. And I will not be responsible for creating any more unrealistic images in this world. I
Amen.
will not.
Wow.
Now, listen, are we going to get you some Spanx and have an angle where you look snatched? Curry, yes, we are. Are we going to
Yeah.
listen? Don't trust somebody without a double chin. I got a million chins. I know my angle is Curry. Listen, we're going to make people look good, but we're not going to do things that are unrealistic. And that goes back to that ethical storytelling lens. I'm also not going to tell the story of violent Muslim men because that was not my experience in Africa. And the world
Yeah.
has enough of those images. I'm going to tell the story of my fisherman neighbor who could not stop cracking us up with his stories. Like, that's the story I'm going to tell because and it's about choosing and making sure that the images you create dignify the people that are in them.
Yeah.
And so there's a lot of my imagery that are, I go back with World Relief or I go back with other organizations. And then later the consent changes just because of the political climate or whatever. And those images, you'll never see them. They're not on my website. They're not, even though I have copyrights to them, I would not use them because it is to me about dignifying the people in them.
Yeah, that's good. I love you talking about that. If anybody needs a brand, where would we go? Drop us
Yeah.
the
I would love
tags
to.
and
I
all this
offer
stuff.
free discovery calls. The heck, you can just chat it up. I travel between Chicago. I have email lists for Chicago and Raleigh area, but I'm in the Raleigh area. Nightdale, shout out to Nightdale. That's where I'm at. My website is Hawa, HAWA images.com. And of course, there's a story behind that. It's on my website. But you can find out all about my brand storytelling. I offer customized proposals. I do free discovery calls just to see, because for me, alignment, transparency, and authenticity, super high values. I don't even work with you if we haven't talked. That's like,
Yeah.
because I just want to make sure that it's aligned and that I can over deliver for you. And it's a bad sales technique, but I've actually told people on a discovery call before, listen, I think your money would be better spent on figuring out who your ideal audience is and your brand, and then come back to me in 6 months. And I remember she goes, nobody would ever be that honest. I was like, girl, I'm nothing if I ain't honest. Trust me, I'm brutally honest sometimes. It gets me in trouble. But if it's not the right time, it's not the right time. But
Yeah.
if you're ready for elevated brand visuals that match your brand voice, like I travel, reach out. I would love to.
I love it. I love it. I'll make sure all those links are in the show notes as
Oh,
well.
cool.
Um,
Yeah, and then I
yeah.
have a personal website, roxengstrom.com, where I share a lot more about like my family's journey. Some of my work that it was featured in Replanted is on that, and some of my podcast links and stuff are there too, so we can do that one. That's more my personal one. I don't roll with that every day, but there's stuff on there that I want to keep. And we didn't even get into this, but the story that literally changed all of our lives. God saved my family. We had a terrible accident in Africa, and that story is on there. Just talk about, like, we didn't talk about that for a long time either, but that sort of what it does to you to have like a medevac situation that you don't know if your family will survive. And then knowing what God has brought out of that. My 19-year-old, that's part of why it was so emotional for me to drop her off at college, because I saw her in a medevac helicopter and thought her life was over.
Wow.
So when I dropped her off at college last year, it was like, that also cemented that experience of dropping your kid at college. You'll have it soon, Curry. And it changes you, meaning I feel like I did spend some years wishing the years away. I
Yeah.
was so overwhelmed as a mom and I was so tired all the time. And I was trying to build and hustle, right? And build this business. And now I'm like, man, the years are so short. I am not going
Mm.
to miss a game. I just don't care. It's just like, of course, some things come up, but like in general, I just want to be present because these kids are gifted to us for even on the days they make us want to just lose our minds. They are a gift and they are only given to us in our homes for such a short period. So all the working mamas, I love you. I'm a better mom when I work, but also I will tell you, dropping off my kid at college changed me. It changed me. I'm just like,
Mm.
I'm done with saying no to stuff for missing my kids' stuff, because I want them to know that I am like forever for them. And I always tell my kids, listen, I'll visit you in college or prison. I prefer college, but I am for you no matter what you do. I'm your ride or die. But I want them to like know that. Like,
Uh,
I want it to almost
yeah.
haunt them how much I'm for them.
I love it. I love it. That is amazing. Okay, I'll make sure all that's in the show notes and all that
So
stuff,
cool.
and we'll go from there. Are you okay jumping in the final two questions as we kind of wrap up here?
Yeah, of course.
Okay. So my first question is, what is the strangest job that you have ever had?
I guess it would be like my dad growing up, my dad was a veterinarian. He owned an animal hospital. So I remember one, I think on Christmas break, we were like, me and my brother were drafted because this is old school. Listen, and I do like me some old school some of stuff because we were literally like, nobody showed up for work to shovel poop. Y'all get dressed. Let's go. And we were
Ooh,
forced to work. And, I worked at my dad's animal hospital for years. I cleaned out cages. I shoveled poop. You know what that taught me though, which I'm actually really grateful for, is this sort of like, I am not above anything. Like,
yeah,
because people that are business owners, they do all these things. And I teach my kids, you know, you better respect every single person in that school building. The janitor and the principal, you better treat them with the same amount of respect because everybody is out here doing their best. Most people, some people are serial killers and they're, whatever. But most people are out here doing their best. And it says more about you, how you respect other people because, and when like things hit the fan in my life and we had to do job changes and whatever, I just went back to waiting tables. There's nothing that makes me better than anybody out here doing any type of job. We are, again, like working hard is a gift and it's a something that's only taught when you have to do it
yeah.
because everybody's lazy until you have to work hard. So for me, I would say slinging some poop, Curry.
That's a good one.
Good prep for
Yeah,
motherhood too. You know what I mean?
yeah, that's
Let's
very
be clear. I
true.
did not keep my children in cages, but I did clean up a lot of poop.
Yes. Yep. Yep. Glad for the past. That's in the past
Yes,
there.
thank goodness.
Um, okay, so my final question then is, what is one piece of advice you would give to somebody looking to bring God's kingdom more into their work?
I think it would have to do with the integration piece. Like, God doesn't see, I don't think, the delineation between your spiritual life and your work life. Like, I would just say, like, be curious about what God's doing in your work and ask. And like when we moved here, I had to relaunch my business after 10 years. And I thought, right? Like you always think like, oh, I'm not that prideful. Oh, Curry, I was so prideful. I was like,
Yeah.
I deserve to have a business. Why these people don't know how amazing I am? Why are people beating down my door wanting to book with me? No,
Yeah.
I had to just show up day one and put myself out there. But I prayed a lot about who I could donate sessions to, how I could bless like folks in my community that own businesses with a brand session so that I could also strategically build my business. But like pray about it. Ask
Yeah.
God what is aligned to me in this season. And don't just like, I think we're so obsessed. And I love I love podcasts. I love reading books. I love learning. I'm a curious, I'm addicted to documentaries. I love that stuff. But there is also a time when we use that instead of waiting on the voice of God or really leaning into, because a lot of times God's going to ask you to do something that don't make any sense
Yeah.
or doesn't look like what maybe it would look like to strategically grow your business. So for me, sometimes that has been stepping back, doing less.
Yeah.
Um, and like doing the same task, but with a hustle, anxiety energy and a peace energy is different. Like
Yeah.
I put myself all the time out there on social media, but doing that where I'm like proving myself and I have anxiety that I'm not going to book the right clients and I have to figure this out and I have to make this work and it's my whole identity, or putting it out there because I want to build my brand because I'm going to serve my clients well and I trust that God has the right clients for me. Cuz being an entrepreneur is hard. Like,
It is
and
hard.
I also recognize that I have a lot of privilege, especially as a woman with a chronic condition, a chronic medical condition, because my husband carries our insurance. So I want to be very clear. I recognize that I have the privilege of being an entrepreneur because my whatever 60 to $80,000 infusion is covered by insurance. So let me
Yeah.
keep that real. I'm not
Yeah.
I'm not out here
Yeah.
telling a story that's not true. Um, but I would just say like be both humble and bold. Like
Yeah.
if you feel and sense something is from God, be bold and then be humble enough. It is so brave. I think we lose this. It is so brave to edit your life, to say that I was wrong. It's so brave to do that, to say I've learned something new. I'm in a different season now. I I've realized that this was a past priority. It's no longer a priority. That does not mean you're not an authentic person. It means you're brave. To grow and to admit that you're wrong is a brave thing. And I feel like that there's been so much good and the new things that God has opened as a result of that. And yeah, I mean, be faithful in the small things. Like, I think a lot of us want to wait for the big feature or the big client or the big this, but like, how are you serving the people right now that are in your business and in your life? And just ask, like, if I'm serving a client that I'm volunteering for the same way I would serve a client that would book my biggest package, then I'm doing a good job.
Yeah.
You know, and just say it with your full chest. If you want to be doing it, then say yes. And if not, if it's not aligned to you, it is okay to say no. I get asked to do things that are no longer aligned with me a lot. And in order to make room for what is aligned to me, I have to say no sometimes. And it's okay to be misunderstood. Like, I am no longer explaining myself to people that are committed to misunderstanding me.
That's a good word. I
don't even know
appreciate
if I
that.
answered your question.
I love
Currey.
it. I love it. No, you did. It was great. It was great. I love it. I appreciate it. I think there's a lot of wisdom there. And thanks for just bringing the energy and doing your thing.
Yeah,
Thanks for
I
coming on.
appreciate you, Currey. The people didn't get to hear, but I asked Currey all about why he did this, why you started this. Like, your story matters to me and other people. And I think it's really special that you take your time to actually say, I'm going to use my platform to highlight other people's stories. That's actually a brave thing, I think. Instead of it being all about you, I really appreciate that work. I appreciate the opportunity to like share my own story in my own words, even if it was a kind of jumbled neurodivergent mess. I think it was awesome. So
It's fun. I love it.
I'm grateful for you, and I've always really respected you in the limited time we've been able to be together. So I appreciate you. Thank you for doing this, and I've loved the other episodes I've listened to. So thank you so much.
Thanks. Thanks so much for hanging out and listening to A Theology of Hustle. Make sure that you like and subscribe, all the things, and follow me at Theology of Hustle on Instagram. My hope is that this podcast just encourages you in your work, whatever that may be. So until next time, get out there and hustle.